Alright guys, TacticalRab here again today. Hope you're doing well and enjoying your day so far. The new game is finally about to release in a couple of days' time, and Dashy is ready to grind for the new season. A new season in which, no doubt, there is serious pressure on many players on many different teams. Dashy is most certainly among them. Will this be a big bounce back year for him, or will the focus once again lie slightly elsewhere, especially when Scump is talking about how Methodz back in the Toronto days was playing too much table tennis and not enough watching VOD. Very much intrigued to your thoughts in the comments below. Hit the like button if you enjoy. Subscribe if you're new as always. I would greatly appreciate it. Firstly, I thought this was cool from Parasite as soon as the game launches, doing an uncapped subathon, 24 hours on day one. I thought he's got some really cool kind of motivations here, right? Incentives, right, when he hits certain milestones, 1v1ing viewers, pie to the face, our TikTok dance at 500, that's going to be, yeah, that's going to be all over the timeline, no doubt about it. Now, the new game does launch in a couple of days. There was this that was interesting from Alberto, one of the leaker guys, saying that the post-launch seasons are not themed around other games in the COD franchise. However, Pro Reborn says, not themed, but we're still getting a map from the old game, from an old game, with guns from that game. Now, we heard the rumours a while ago about like the EM1 and stuff like this coming back from Advanced Warfare, and apparently that is going to be Terrace. Now, if you guys know Terrace, it's the map that's set on Santorini, which is this one, right, if you guys played this back in the day. And it was actually played in, it was a search and destroy map back in the Advanced Warfare competitive days, and it didn't play bad for search. But it was not, I don't see how this is viable for boots on the ground, you know what I mean? And it's not like it was a great map in Advanced Warfare. It wasn't one of the fan favorites, you know what I mean? There was Solar, there was Biolab was my personal favorite. There were plenty of other bangers in that game, but Terrace was good, and I had good time playing it, but I don't think it was ever considered to be like a masterpiece, for example. So I'm a little bit confused if the map that they're bringing back from Advanced Warfare is a map that's, I guess, sure that it can work on boots on the ground. I mean, I guess there are staircases and stuff, so sure, it probably can work. And to be fair, of all the maps in Advanced Warfare that could work, it's probably not too far away. But, you know, there are certain things that you would think, is this really going to work? I don't know, we'll see. But apparently they are cooking up, bringing back plenty of old school maps. I'm expecting lots of MWIII maps as well. I mean, the rumours are that, you know, things like Seatown, Resistance, Lockdown, whatever they were called, might well return at some point, which would be nice. But apparently there's more to come than just that, and maybe even such as, you know, Terrace, and, you know, I don't know if there's other maps that they could make work for competitive from back in the day. As I say, Biolab was my favorite in that game, but I just don't, and Riot as well. Actually, Riot Search and Destroy, wow, what a map that was. But I'm just looking at that thinking, how does that work in boots on the ground? I don't really think it does. Maybe Terrace is one of the closest to working, so that's maybe why they're going to choose it. The question is when it arrives, because they're coming in multiple seasons to come, but if they don't arrive soon after the game launches, let's be honest here, our season finishes in July. The teams never tend to make changes to the rule sets after the start of the Major 4 cycle, let's say. So realistically, we're talking maybe May. These things have got to be in the game by May, or they're probably not going to be in the rules. That is generally how it's going to be, because May is Major 3, the end of Major 3, and then just at the end of May is the start of the Major 4 qualifiers. This is actually another point that I just realized. Major 3 ends on something like the 19th of May, and it's literally the next Friday that the Major 4 qualifiers starts. So there's going to be very little turnaround time to make changes to the rule set in that period, which makes me think that if there are going to be new maps, they're going to be pre-Major 3, we're talking end of March, start of April. So that's maybe when we're looking if there's new maps and good maps in the game by then they can have a think about things. Otherwise, it's maybe unlikely. Now, yesterday, OpTic did this hangout thing. They were playing table tennis, and there were some great clips coming out of this. I mean, look at Scump's technique right here. I mean, absolutely spectacular stuff. I think Dashy was actually cooking on this as well. But as is usually the case, Methodz simply can't go a day without getting cooked, at least by someone. I mean, Methodz is such a sour guy, and I do feel bad that he constantly gets roasted all the time, and he must be the most roasted COD player ever. And it's unfortunate because I don't think he deserves it, but you know, it's not my fault that Scump says what he says, you know what I mean? It's good fun, it's good banter, and this is a pretty funny clip, but it's also kind of relevant to what we're going to discuss in a way, because Scump says here that, you know, Zinni apparently during the Toronto days, way back in MWIII or whatever, they had the table tennis table, they're playing ping pong a fair bit, and Scump made his thoughts known on maybe he should have been doing more watching VOD than doing anything else. I'll also share a clip here from the Stocksman podcast that he did with Zoomer, pretty interesting perspective on Crowder.
Barlow, we'll take it.
Zinni just said that they were playing a lot of ping pong on the Toronto Ultra, and I said, a little too much ping pong, not enough vibe.
What is it?
What is it? I go back to that.
Give me Crowder, bro. Give me Crowder.
Crowder, World War II?
Bro, Crowder is the most underrated player ever in the CDL.
Okay, there you
Or
go.
not the CDL. Like, he didn't, like, in COD.
In COD generally.
In COD. Bro, people don't even know, bro. They don't even know.
How much work he's doing?
Work, bro. Just, like, watching VOD, he just knows what everybody's doing. He just knows how to play every situation, and, like, he never, ever cared about getting kills or his stats or he was, like, the most unselfish player. Like, bro, I looked like the biggest superstar playing with him because, like, he would just do all the little things, like jumping in first or taking a long route or this. So, all right, bet I'll just hit Hill, get another couple kills, this and that. Like,
He made it so you could just beat a crack demon and just do
Bro,
what you wanted to
he's
do,
just
and he's
like-
opening up the map for you.
bro, if Crowder's doing some dumb shit and I'm talking to him, he's just, like, respects me. He's like, yeah, all right, bet. You know, this and that. He'll just fix it. Next map, he'll fix it, like, right away. Like, but it's just, like, little things, like being able to work with people, like being a good teammate. Like, Crowder was that guy. Like, was Crowder always looked at as that guy who's going to go out there and drop 40s? No, but he's a world champion. He's won multiple champs. He's coaching Atlanta FaZe now. I just feel like a lot of people just like...
So Crowder, no doubt, the COD father in many ways to lots of different players in their careers. Zumo, one such example, right, of a player that Crowder brought into his system and molded over time, of course. Won the World Championship with Attach and JCap and Priestahh together when he was called Replays, way back in the Advanced Warfare days in that Denial Esports team. Definitely one of the more underrated players ever. Whenever I think underrated, there's always a few players that come to mind, one of which is always Slacked, because he won quite a lot in his career, but always was overshadowed on those teams by like Octane and Saints and John and Classic and these type of guys. I think also, yeah, there's other players that fall into the category as well. JCap is the big one for me. Actually, I'll mention Enable quickly because I think his career was always underrated with what he achieved coming from Halo to Carter with the nub and all this type of stuff. JCap though is like, Jacob is always, I think, criminally underrated. Like, the player that this guy was in his prime, he's a double world champion. I know that he had a bad performance in the grand finals in Infinite Warfare Champs, and because of that, people think this guy's a burger. But, like, I mean, I don't know. Come on. Jacob, to me, is still, like, 6th best all time, and I still think it's criminally underrated. But there's a few players that fall into the category. Crowder is definitely a good idea here from Zuma, and I thought it was pretty funny that after tweeting this, and obviously Zuma being very positive about Crowder, at the same time Crowder had tweeted this, just completely roasting Zuma at the same time. So yeah, it went well either way. But let's talk about the new title then, because it's coming out very soon, as Afro says, 2 more days. I mean, today is Wednesday, and the game comes out Friday, but of course, the game basically releases immediately as soon as Friday begins, right? So there's going to be lots happening as soon as that happens. And even I'm sure tomorrow there'll be leaks and there'll be people to get early access to the game. That's always how it tends to go. Afro, Dashy getting ready to grind. And Dashy says the following: such a long off season. This has got to be the longest off season ever, right? Like, I don't think there's any contest. I was trying to think back to previous seasons on when Champs was and when the new game was. And even when Champs has been early, the game has never come out quite this late. And when Champs has been late, obviously shorter off season, right? We used to have Champs in like August and stuff. So it's been immense for the fans and for the community and for the players, but we made it and we're pretty much here now. And as Dashy says, almost time though. Can't wait to get this year underway. Definitely a big year for many players. Dashy very much so included. Clearly very ready to grind for the new season. And sure, we talked earlier today, the Pred thing, is Scump going to have to step in? That might not be an ideal start, but it shouldn't make a massive difference in the grand scheme of things if this team is as good as they theoretically should be. But how do you guys think the players like Dashy are going to fare? We talked a while ago that a higher time to kill game generally suits players with a better shot. And if you look at a bit of a correlation between average time to kill of a player to get them dead, basically, compared to how good Dashy has been at certain titles, there's some correlation there. You know, Black Ops 4, Cold War, mostly the games with slightly longer time to kills where shooting straight is more beneficial have tended to be pretty good for Dashy. So this should be good on paper. As always with Dashy, it's never going to be about the talent. It's always going to be about the commitment and the work ethic and this type of stuff. And look, again, we saw last year friction with Rambo, stuff happens. This time, you know, there's obviously going to be no room for that. Kenny's coming in, Karma's over there now from the start of the season. It should be a different attitude in OpTic. This is the season that they've really got to make it work. And on paper, they've got all the pieces, and Dashy's certainly one of them going forward. And of course, has the slight advantage at the start of the year of actually playing quite a bit of MWIII back in the day. Dashy is, despite the fact that it feels like he's still brand new, which he kind of, I mean, he's kind of a veteran at this point, right? His first event was at the end of Infinite Warfare, like 2017. He's, you know, actually kind of remarkably one of the older players in the league. I think he's, what, 24, which is how old I am, which I don't think is old necessarily. But, you know, when you look at the rest of the league and these kids are like 20, 21, 18, 19, it's like, yeah, like Dashy's kind of a veteran at this point. And lots of these like new gen kids that maybe only been around the league for 1-2 years, they simply weren't old enough to even play Modern Warfare 2 back in the day, unless they were playing it when they were like 5 or 6, which may be fair enough, but maybe relatively unlikely. Whereas Dashy was playing it back in the day, sniping on it competitively, and this game has all the same maps. So in the grand scheme of things, that's probably not going to be a mega advantage. By the end of the season, everyone's going to know the maps. But I would say in the first couple of months, I wouldn't be surprised if the first event in Boston goes to someone, this is in January, goes to a team that has some prior knowledge, because usually that early advantage can pay dividends, right? We saw it especially in World War II. Okay, not necessarily old school maps coming back, but Team Caliber, that team of Theory, Kenny, Accuracy, and Chino, you look back at that team, you think, well, okay, well, Kenny was a superstar, but apart from that, there wasn't much else going on in that team in terms of slaying necessarily. Okay, you know, they all did their part, but they won back-to-back events at the start of that season before then falling off because they understood the game better than anybody else. They had the best teamwork than anybody else, and they delivered results. I think one tournament they won with Theory having a 0.78 KD. It was crazy stuff, but that just, you know, was a difference in knowledge, which eventually was overturned over time. But that stretched from December into January after the game launched. So I think there's definitely a chance that something similar could potentially happen again. Drazah as well, he's very keen to get ready. You know, MWIII in basically 2 days now. Hopefully we don't kill this too early as well, because this is the thing with Drazah, right? That when he gets on a new game, he grinds all the time, same with these other guys, takes everybody's money in these money 8s, and therefore no one wants to play anymore. Unlikely to be the case with this new title, especially if it's actually any good. And there are big kickoff tournaments to come. So we've got something very nice cooking over at Breaking Point, you guys, I'm sure will be looking very much forward to when that gets confirmed. I think maybe tomorrow or maybe today we're going to do the reveal for what this is going to be, which has now been officially approved. And there'll be plenty else, of course, going on at the time as well over the coming days. So very much interested to your thoughts on all this stuff in the comment section below. Hit the like button if you enjoyed, subscribe if you're new, take care, and I'll see you next time.